Hi all, I'll be starting with reservoir engineering and whatever the things that I wrote over here, like this is porosity, this is permeability, compressibility, saturation, wettability, interfacial tension, capillary pressure and J function and net to gloss ratio. All these are the properties of reservoir which we will be learning, and now I'll be starting with porosity. Let me start with what is porosity. Porosity is nothing but if we take a core sample where it has different types of grains, where it has grains as well as a pore space, where this is called pore space. So porosity is equals to pore space occupied by the total bulk volume. And pore space, it can be of two types, like whether it can be the isolated pores where it is not connected. Generally we find these isolated mostly in shales, and also the interconnected pore spaces. So based on the type of pore spaces, the type classification of porosity is done. The classification of porosity is very simple. If for example total porosity and absolute porosity, it is all about like total pore volume irrespective of whether the pore volume is interconnected or isolated. We don't care about that. It is total pore volume by bulk volume, and effective is phi effective. Porosity effective is equals to pore volume that is only interconnected to the bulk volume, whereas ineffective, or also it is also known as residual porosity, where phi ineffective is equals to pore volume that is isolated by the bulk volume. And let me say you, bulk volume is nothing but grain volume plus pore volume. And one more formula is it is also equals to total porosity is equals to phi effective plus phi ineffective. And there is also another term called void ratio, where it is represented in E. It is equals to pore volume by the grain volume. It's not bulk volume, and it is always greater than, it can be greater than 1 or equal to 1 or less than 1. But we should make sure that it is always greater than 0, because it can't be negatives, right? And porosity and void ratio is represented with the formula phi is equals to E by 1 plus E. It is very easy to derive. Please derive yourself. Phi is equals to E by E plus 1. And let me say you, porosity can be less than 1. Less than 1. Yeah. This is all about porosity. In the next video, I'll be saying you regarding the types of porosities, like primary porosity and secondary porosity. Thank you all. Please make sure you subscribe.